Our lives are fashioned by choice. This comes from that book. First we make choices, then our choices make us. Do you guys agree with that? Okay? I wholeheartedly agree, meeting Gary. We are what we decide we will be, and we do what we decide we will do. We become our choices. Okay? The 12 issues you face in a shifting market are really opportunity, hence the 12 what? Tactics. Okay? So you're seeing how this all connects, hopefully. When market shifts, there is only one thing to do. What is it? Shift with it. Okay? We're going to talk about what that looks like today, starting with with tactic 1. Okay, then at the very bottom, this is the last section I'm going to read, and then we're going to jump in. Your life will be either about your problems or your opportunities. You'll either be running away from something or running what? Towards something. Right? How many people have taken bold? Raise your hand high like you're bold. Okay, good. So when you guys took bold, what does that sound like? What's that?
A bold law.
A bold law, right? And it's the concept of people are either avoiding pain or they're working towards pleasure. You guys remember this that took bold? Good. 3 of you are nodding your heads. Awesome. Okay. So we're either running away from pain or we're running towards pleasure. Now, first thought for most of us is we want to say we spend most of our time running towards what? And what did we learn in bold? Majority of population spends the majority of their time running away from pain. Okay? So when a shift comes, that's what we're talking about today. When a shift comes, it's a decision point that we get to make, right? What do we do going into that shift, knowing it's coming? Okay? Because what's the topic of today? What's the topic of today? It's not a trick question. It's mind over market, right? So when this happens, we have a decision to make. Now sometimes for some of us that's going to be a conscious decision, and for others it's going to be a subconscious decision. Right? But we have to understand that we have to get into action of some sort, either running in towards the shift and embracing it and moving with it and shifting with it, or trying to run away from it. Okay? So how many people have seen this that I sent out? Okay, now I'm going to test you guys. What's the moral of this picture? Is this going to be your competition in about 10 months? Right? So what's the point? Jamie, what's the point?
Yeah, just don't be living just today. Be aware of what's going to happen down the road.
Bingo. Gary says it really clearly. You can't trade tomorrow's business for today's. And in a really fast-paced, frenzied market, it's really easy to get sucked up in only looking at what's right in front of us and not looking at what we know is coming. Okay, so did everyone, or please tell me one person, see this email that I sent out a couple days ago?
Yes.
Okay, now how many people know a guy, an agent here named John Thomas Sinclair? Okay, JT is down at a mastermind for property flippers, right? That's a big part of his business. It's his passion. Okay, he's at a private event. It sounds like 40-something people, invitation only, had to qualify to get in the room. He responded back to that email, and we're going to show you, he recorded this short little video. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I'll have Tony cut it, but I want you guys to hear what he said because he shot this back to me right after he got that video. Now keep in mind, these 40 people in this room, majority of them are not salespeople. Majority of them are not real estate salespeople. Majority of them are not brokerage people. Majority of them are just straight up investors, right? So my attempt here is that this may validate what we're talking about. So go ahead, Tony, if you would.
Hey everybody. Hey, Ben sent an email out today that asked, is a shift coming? And I thought it was interesting because I'm in a mastermind for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with some great, super talented investors. And all they're talking about is how they're bulletproofing their life and their investments and their business for this coming shift. So there's no more talking about like, is it coming, when's it coming? It's like, it's going to happen. The joke that they've been saying here is when your hairdresser is flipping a house and the dog walker is flipping a house, then you know that a shift's coming, you need to be prepared for it. So I just told Ben that I'd be happy to share tidbits from that. Maybe we do a little mastermind around it, lunch and learn, whatever you want to call it. I don't know that it'd be super formal, but I could help tell you what I personally am doing with my investments to help get through a recession, kind of getting rid of non-performing, not super great rentals, I guess you would say, maybe selling those at the height of the market, and then trying to be super picky about what I buy as a rental. And then on a personal level, maybe refinancing your mortgages, saving money, That might have been the mastermind right there. But we can get there and see some other topics too. So just start it out.
Okay, so what's his point? We can switch back. Thanks, Tony. Did you miss him, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured. So what's his point? Be prepared, right? So, last time this shift happened, I remember KW got a little bit of a bad rap for being the doom and gloomers, right? Because how dare they have a discussion about the shift? How could we even talk about shift when I'm so busy today and I can't even breathe because I got so much business, right? It's all about perspective. We don't want you guys to be these people. So JT's at a mastermind with some of the top real estate investors in the country, and they're not just talking about if it happens, they're talking about steps they're taking because it will happen, okay? So whether you have rental properties or not, there's a personal application there too. Refinance your current homes, right? Take advantage of the interest rates now. Your production's all up. When's the best time to get qualified for a loan as a 1099 contractor employee? When your comes up or down? Right? So there's an opportunity to refi your homes if you have a high interest rate. Start putting money aside, and we're going to talk about some of the other things. But there is a shift coming. Okay? There's stuff happening. We want you guys to be prepared. So it's not doom and gloom. We're going to get into actually how do we arm you guys with the data. So perspective, right? Before we can chart a course knowing where it's going or when we think it's going to happen, we have to first look at where we're at. Right? So if you guys take your agendas and flip them over, you have two pieces of information there. And these aren't just really cool marketing pieces that Lauren does. While they are really cool, there actually is a lot that's contained in these pieces. Okay? They tell us a lot. We track these numbers for a reason as a company. So the first one you see is the monthly training tracker. What does it tell us? What does it tell us?
Knowledge is power. 10 more trainings.
Agents, you, we're just looking at KW, not comparing you to the market yet, just you, KW agents. Those of you who attend 2 or more trainings here per month are kicking the rest of your butts. You're doing 72.7% more written units. You're doing 126% more closed units, 61% more listed units, which is that kind of important in this market. And you're doing 176.8% more in commission dollar. How many people would like to do 176.8% more commission dollar? Right? So like Jamie said in response on Facebook, it's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be brain surgery. It's simple, right? Find some trainings, get into the activity, and now the next one you see, we're going to look at the results. So now we, as a company, track how is your effectiveness compared to the market. Because if our training's great, you should see results that back that up, correct? So in April, you can see the MLS was down 6.6% for listings taken. What were you guys? You were up 2.5%. It doesn't just mean 2.5%, it means you're outpacing by what? Is that a big deal going into a shifted market?
Yep.
That's a huge deal, guys. Huge deal. Closed sales, market was up 4%. You were up 10.2%. Sold volume, market was up 8%. You guys are up 15.2%. Agent commissions, MLS doesn't tell me that stuff, but you guys were up 15.9%. So you guys are where? Are you ahead, pacing, or behind the market? You're ahead. Is that a good place to be going into a shift? Okay, so that's our perspective. Now, I couldn't help this because I'm a child of the 80s and I like this movie, but what is the point of this image? Have we been here before? How many people have been selling real estate and gone through a shift? Okay, now how many people have not? Look around. Almost half the room has never been through what we're about to go through. Right? Now, is that a good or bad thing? It doesn't have to be either. It's perspective. For those of us that have been through it, hopefully we learned something last time so we don't make the same mistake this time, right? Okay, so that's what we're talking about. What's coming? And this is where we're going to get into. We're going to cover today some of Gary's main ideas. Perspective on the market, which we're just starting to go through. Opportunity mindset, master your skills, systematize. You're going to hear me say this about 400 times today in this talk. It's really, really key. Okay? Systematizing is going to be everything because our conversion rate in a shifted market does what? Up or down? It goes down, right? It takes more leads to generate a sale in a shifted market. That's just the nature of the beast. And then get in the game. We'll talk about that. So the first one is, how's your market? How many people hear this question before? How many of you heard it 3 times already today? Right? Everyone's asking. Everyone's asking, how's the market? Now, I'm not going to get on my soapbox here, but I've told you before, what do we not answer with? It's amazing! Because is it truly amazing at every price point? No. In fact, how many people were at last team meeting where Bruce talked to you guys about the TMO report? Was that awesome or what? So you have a report, the TMO report, that shows you very clearly there's some price points that are already shifted back into a what type of market? Buyer's market, right? So to just give a blanket statement and say the market's amazing is not good information. It's not doing justice to your clients. The response should be what? That depends. Tell me more about what you're looking to accomplish. Right? We're wanting to engage them with questions. So people always need to buy or sell, yes or no? Yes. Have we ever, as a company, as an MLS or a nation, ever sold 0 homes in a month? No. Okay, homes always sell. In shifted markets, we sell fewer of them. In a good market, we sell more of them. But the bottom line is, mindset-wise, homes are always selling. People need to buy, need to sell. Okay? Next one. Markets are always in transition. And I want you guys to hear me clearly in this. This gets back to what Jamie was talking about before. It's our perspective. Not getting so caught up in today's market that we lose sight of the fact that the nature of our very business is that the market's always changing. It's going one of two directions. What is it always doing? Going up or going down, right? It's always happening. That's a constant. It's a known. So again, why A, is it taking some of us by surprise, and B, why do we allow it to be scary to us? Why does it cause fear in a lot of us, right? We know it's a constant. It's going to be there. Next one, change equals what? So how many people made money through the shifted market? Right? There are a number of agents in this MLS that made more money in the shifted market than they did in a good market. Right? They just didn't shift out of that bad market fast enough. You all know who I'm talking about because there's a number of them, but they did a lot of what type of properties?
Short sales.
REO. And that was great business when the market shifted, but they didn't shift out of it fast enough. They didn't diversify their business, and then when the market shifted back to a seller's market, what happened? You don't see their name on MLS very much anymore, do you? Right? So it's not bad to have different types of business. You just have to stay ahead of the market and know with reasonable assurity what's coming. Okay? Next one, law of supply and demand. I'm going through this first part quickly because it's review. You guys, we're going to get into the meat. You guys know this stuff. Please, somebody sum up law of supply and demand without arm wrestling it. What is it? The more supply there is, what happens to demand? And conversely? Right. Okay? So what are we experiencing right now? This is not a trick question, I promise you. Low supply. Right? I can remember when I was selling, when we were in the last boom, that we were writing offers on the hood of cars in the driveway before we walked in the house because another agent was parking with their clients at the same house. And if my clients wanted a shot at that house, they had to at least get an offer in first. Anyone else remember that? Did we have high or low supply then? You guys are awesome. Okay, so we get supply and demand. Now this is an interesting visual. It only goes through 2007, but you get the point. I'm going to let you soak it in a little bit, and somebody tell me, what are you seeing here? Somebody that's not a high C. I'm not looking for detail here. What are you seeing here?
Cycle.
Market cycles. These are numbers from the National Association of Realtors. Market cycles. Okay, what is that telling you without you being able to see numbers because the numbers don't really matter?
That it shifts.
Always. Right? So here we are. 89. Oh, and then come about 95, what happened? We shifted, right? Boy, that was a fun wave there, wasn't it? And then what happened? Whoop, shifted. Now where are we at right now? That's the best question, right? I don't have the answer for you. Nobody knows. If I had a crystal ball, I could tell you, but I wouldn't be working because I'd write a book and make $1 million. What we know, though, is we're approaching the point where that will at least level, if not turn. Would you guys agree with that? The appreciation we're seeing, the pricing we're seeing, we're going to actually give you guys an exercise so you can see the affordability index here locally and in town, in Coeur County. We're approaching interesting levels right now. Okay? So here are a couple of things we're going to review because we want to make sure you guys know. So seller's market is when what? When we have less than 5 months worth of inventory in a given price range. Now again, just like we don't say the market's amazing based on all price ranges, we don't say it's a seller's or a balanced or a buyer's market by all price ranges either. Okay? We're going to really look, and that's what report, again, is really good for this. TMO report is phenomenal for this. It breaks it down for you. You don't have to do any of the work, you just have to read the report and interpret it. Okay? Seller's markets, we have less than 5 months of inventory. A balanced market is between what and what? 5 to 7 months, and a buyer's market is when we have more than 7 months worth of inventory. Okay? We all good there? So what causes a shift? Because these likely would be then indicators that we need to look out for, would you agree? So what causes a shift? You've been through it. Interest rates? Economy, jobs? What else? Elections can, absolutely. Right, so that's a good point. Here's the one thing that everybody's agreeing on. Nothing's going to happen until after the election. Because nothing ever does happen until after an election, right? Neither party wants to get their hands dirty until they know it's their mess, okay? So nothing will happen likely until this fall, and we know it's going to happen this fall or this spring, sometime in there, right? Now we also, Stan and I were talking about this yesterday, we also, as North Idaho, tended to lag behind other markets, would you agree? So we may not shift at the same time the national market does. We didn't shift into the downturn when everyone else shifted, right? We had some months buffer there. And if we prepare you guys now for when we see the shift nationally is going to happen, you're better off, okay? So here's what we know. So prices, and just think about the current market right now, the situations you're in. Prices will rise above buyers' ability to buy. Are we there yet? Potentially, we're going to talk about that. Affordability drops, the number of qualified buyers declines. Is that a potential right now? Yes. Okay. Decline in buyers causes a reduction in demand. Right? Not as frenzied, the pace slows. With the reduction in demand, the supply of homes does what? Increases. And as inventory grows, prices drop, buyers become more reluctant to buy. The market can gain momentum. That's a shift. Right? Simplest form, don't overthink it, that's a shift. That's why the annual report is such a great tool for you guys, because you can see this and these indicators as they're happening. Okay? So here's another one, and Lauren, would you be able to pass out that form for them? So what we're handing out to you guys is a worksheet that I'm actually going to give you so you know the formula. I want you to get very familiar with this. It's a 50-cent word, and it probably shouldn't be more than a 5-cent word. Okay? Affordability Index. Who knows what that means? I didn't either, I'm not going to lie. Okay? I knew basically what it was, but I couldn't have given you a definition. The Affordability Index is a metric. It's not scientific in the sense that it's absolute. It is a metric that the NAR uses, that the Idaho Association of Realtors uses, that a lot of big groups use to gauge the health of the housing market and the economy. We good so far? So here's what we know. For the Affordability Index, there's a baseline of 100. What's the baseline? 100. And at 100, what does that tell us? At 100 and above, it tells us that the family making the median wage for the area can afford or has the resources to buy the median priced home. Does that make sense? So 100 is our baseline. At 100 means the median income family can afford the median priced home. We good? So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to give you some national numbers, and then I'm going to walk you through our local numbers. Okay? Because this is something very easy for you to track. You can get this data from a lot of different places. We running out of sheets? I think so. That's an excellent problem. That's what we call a high-class problem. So if you don't have the sheets, we'll email these out with as well. You guys can make notes. Okay, so we're going to walk through this. So if you don't have a sheet, just make notes on a piece of paper and a scrap you have, or if you have a neighbor, write on their arm. It doesn't matter to me. Here we go. So Kootenai County median income as of last census, this is per the U.S. Census Bureau, is $49,292. $49,292. That's the median income for Kootenai County. Okay?
For a family?
Median income Kootenai County, family. Okay? Median home price, site built under 2 acres for the month of April per MLS was $207,500. Okay? $207,500. Now that's site built less than 2 acres. If I know some of the high Cs are already, their eyes are twitching a little bit. If you look at all property types, it's 205, so it's pretty similar. Okay, but we're going to say 207,500. Let's use 205, easier math. But you have both. Mortgage amount would be what if you take 20% down payment out of that 205? Be 164. I knew you were going to say it, Stephen. What's that? This is the metric that the national people use. So I'm just giving you guys the formula, okay? So would be 164, and the required income, if you look at 25% of that, of the mortgage amount, would be 41,000. Okay? That puts our affordability index where? I'll give you guys a little bit of time. What do you have? Counting on my high C's here.
It's over 100.
It is over 100. 120.2. Okay? 120.2 is our affordability index for Kootenai County. Okay? Now, why do you need to know this? Are you going to talk with this about clients? No, right? It's like, for them, it's like watching paint dry. What does it allow you to do?
Know where they can shop.
It allows you to track what's happening. I'm not suggesting you do this every day, but I might be doing it myself every month. Okay? Because I want to see, if we start to see a trend 2 months in a row, that's telling us something's about to change. So currently speaking, we're at 120.2. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now there's 3 ways to close that affordability gap. And would you say in Kootenai County we have, regardless of affordability index, in general that we have an affordability challenge?
Yes.
Okay, why? What's the biggest employer in Kootenai County right now? Hospital. And what's the majority of their employees? Doctors or labor? Labor, right? So the pay is lower. Second behind the hospital is hospitality. Hospitality jobs, do they pay a lot or a little? Okay, so you see the challenge we're in, right? So that's why people that work the higher end markets are seeing this start to slow a little bit. It's not bad, but we're starting to see this divide happening, right? Because the feeding frenzy has really slowed a bit for some of those higher end properties. Doesn't mean it's gone away, it's just not as crazy as it was. So there's 3 ways to do this. First, we have to do what? Lower home prices. How many of your sellers are really cool with that idea?
Hey man, we gotta fix the affordability.
Right, so that's not going to happen, okay? The second one, increase borrowing power, lower rates, more options. How many people know what rates are doing right now? It's essentially free money anyway, right? So we probably can't touch that one too much more to move the needle. Would you agree? Right, we're there, okay? And the next one is increased income. Unless we recruit some huge company that wants to employ a third of Kootenai County and raise the income by double or triple, can we control that?
No.
So what can you guys control?
Prayer.
Fair. What else can you control? Is that a rhetorical question? You can't control any of this. What controls this? Outside forces. It's the market, right? Again, so the agents, they get so sucked up into what's happening today in their business, they lose sight of this perspective, and they feel totally helpless when the market shifts. Those that have the perspective to understand they don't control it in the first place, and all they can do is watch the numbers to help navigate and shift with the market, are the ones that make money through it. Okay? We good there? Okay. You guys are still with me. This is good. What are buyers and sellers thinking? So you guys tell me this. So the role of the media. How many people sold through the last shift? What was the media telling everyone about our market? Blood in the streets, it's terrible, you should rent forever, buying is a terrible idea, you're an idiot. That's what the media was telling everyone. Would you guys agree with that? And were they listening or were they not listening? They were sucking it up. They're getting their local economy advice from the Today Show, okay? Problem with that, just like you see in the affordability index, every market is different and every market's unique, okay? So we have to know our numbers locally because that will be something we battle again. Hopefully it won't be as big of a deal, but it will be something we're going to have to be prepared for. Now, what are the sellers thinking in a buyer's market? Now, this is what we're going to shift into likely, or shift towards, let's say, whichever one it ends up being. First, do they think the house is worth more at that point than it actually is at that point? Yes. You guys have never experienced that? Okay. Number 2, can't sell for what they need or... That's the key one, right? You're going to have to listen for that when we shift and you're doing your presentations, because what doesn't matter? What they want. The only thing that matters is what buyers are willing to pay, okay? They can sell as is without improvements. Pound sand, this is a seller's market, you either like it or leave it, right? Does that work in a buyer's market? No. And marketing and open houses will be enough to sell it. Just spend more on marketing. Do more print advertising, that'll sell my house. No, it won't.